Okay, here's my post camping trip assessment summarization. So yesterday I left here and got on the towpath and rode my bike north. I went from Point of Rocks to Huckleberry Hill campsite. That was 15 miles. And it took 2.5 hours, and then I camped for the night, and then the next day I rode back south downstream about 3 miles just past the 340 bridge and got on the river. I got on the river at 10:30 and was off by 3:30, so that was 5 hours. So it's interesting that every trip that I ever take, I'm usually on the bike half as long as on the punt. So that's a good ratio. So that means if I usually average 10 to 12 miles an hour on the bike, I'm going about 5 miles an hour on the river. So the positives, the punt worked pretty well as a tent. I didn't really have a bug screen. The mosquitoes are already out, so that was very annoying. I could have slept in a tent, but I didn't want to do that because the tent would be on the mud. And then you have to bring a tarp if you don't want mud on your tent. And that's just a lot of hassle. So the easier thing is just to bring some kind of mosquito netting and throw it on top of me. That would be an improvement. The chair works really well as a camp chair. I was surprised. I was like, I got a chair there. I should try it out. And it actually worked pretty well. The punt is great when it's closed and the wheels are off. It works great as a table. It's totally flat. Half of it is flat, and it's a good place to set up your camp stove and basically make dinner or lunch or something. So the negatives, mostly on the boat side. The boat needs more freeboard, and I kept getting swamped in the front of the boat. There were more rapids this time than my other trips, and they were bigger. There were several chutes that were about between 2 and 3 feet tall, so about 75 centimeters. And every time I went down there, well, at least 3 times, I think it was 3 times that the front of the boat was swamped. And then I'd have to stop in the middle of the river on a rock and bail. And I don't really have a good bailer, so I just used a wide mouth water bottle and just took the cap off and scooped the water out that way. But it took about 15 minutes, and then I was exhausted. And at one point I got stuck. The chutes on the left and the right were basically not navigable. I'm kind of stuck. No matter where I look, it's kind of unreasonable. My other choice, it's crazy, man. That would have been complete disaster. So I ended up just paddling as hard as I could upstream towards a rock, the backside of a rock. And I knew that there would be a back eddy on the backside of the rock, just up from me upstream. And I knew if I could get there, then I could position the boat to shoot across to the left and possibly find a better chute to go down. And that's what I did. And I didn't have it recording. I was quite terrified. I didn't know if there was going to be another chute that was navigable, or I don't know if they were going to be worse, but and once you launch out, you know, it's like you're committed. So I didn't know what I was committing to, so it was quite stressful. But luckily I made it. I found some channels that were more like this as opposed to like that, and was able to get through that. Um, but after that, I was quite exhausted and I was tired of bailing. So the boat needs more freeboard. It could use some kind of splash guard in the front. Uh, the other thing I could do is just add another layer of foam on the bottom and then put holes everywhere and let it be self-draining. Um, that is something that I debated um, for a long time, and I just decided to do it this way because I was like, well, if I do that, then I'm losing my interior volume, and then if I want to maintain my volume, I have to make the sides of the boat taller, and then the windage goes up. So there was like this, you know, yeah, you change one thing and then something else goes wrong. So that's the challenge with design. It's always like that. You always have to make compromises somewhere, and so I didn't want to add a third layer of foam on the bottom and lose all my interior space. It just means I'm limited to the height of rapids that I can safely go over with this boat. I need something to hold a water bottle. I need some kind of carabiner or something, something that, because there were times when I was getting really thirsty, and my water bottle, I had to, it was behind my chair and it was zippered up, so it wouldn't, I didn't want to lose it if I flipped over, and so I didn't really have access to water. My knife, oh yeah, so I need a PFD with pockets because I spent like 15 minutes trying to find my knife. I was trying to cut open a plastic water bottle so I could use it as a bailer, and I never found my knife. So luckily I found a stainless steel water bottle, but it wasn't ideal. So if I ever make another punt, I would use fiberglass tape on the bottom, on the exterior corners, and I would roll at least 2, probably 3 layers of epoxy, because my corners, I keep running into rocks and the corners get chewed up. And the paper is a good idea for the interior corners, but not exterior. It's just not durable enough. I've repaired the exterior corners a lot, and so that would make it a lot more durable. Sun pants. My legs are completely burnt right here, and my ankles completely burnt. Luckily, I had something on my head, so and this, so and mosquito spray. Anywhere east of the Mississippi River, I see pictures of people like camping and they're like under a tarp, and I'm like, it's like, what? It's because we have mosquitoes on the East Coast and because of all the rain, and out west there's almost no mosquitoes. So you don't need a tent. You just sleep under the stars. It almost never rains out there, unless you're in like Colorado or something, or Seattle or Washington. But anyway, so that's about it. So that was the 13th time that I've been on the punt, and I barely made it past those rapids. I was like thinking, what is the worst thing that can happen? It's like, all right, so the whole thing tips over, and I just float down the river upside down, holding onto the punt until I hit another rock where I can like flip it back up, stand up and flip it back up, and then bail for another 30 minutes. It's like, anyway, amazingly, I have never tipped over in this boat. I've been on 13 times, it's never tipped over. I've flooded it twice. Um, I had it on the ocean, and the front half of it just completely filled up to the holes, the axle holes. And I just kept going. It's kind of funny because the front fills up and the back doesn't, and so it starts going this way, and then it scoops more water over the front, and it's just like, it's kind of like, it's like sitting on a submarine almost. So anyway, but it won't sink. The 2 layers of styrofoam, 1 inch thick each, keep it from sinking. So it's sort of, I don't know, it's like a compromised boat. I think it needs 1 more layer, and then I can drill holes and let the water drain out. I think that's the best way to go, and add about 2 inches of freeboard, and then you maintain your internal volume. And yeah, so that's going to be Shuttle Punt number 2.